constraint is not by doing media, having media stunt all over the place. That won't push their case.
So beyond the politics of things, there are relevant issues like perception and credibility. And when we discuss opposition, based off of the privilege of hindsight, you can also tell which party is at the forefront of opposition based on numbers, the stakeholders that they've been able to gather and what have you. But let's take a short break. When we return, we'll touch on data integrity as it affects the e-registration that we've seen in the past months. Stay with us, everyone. Ayo Adedosu is co-founder, Africa Data Warehouse, Ontario in Canada. Thank you for staying the course on the program. You look at Section 77, and it requires detailed personal data. We're talking about NIN, photographs, addresses, polling units, and what have you. In a country where data protection enforcement is still evolving, are there legitimate concerns about political surveillance, about data misuse or cybersecurity vulnerabilities? For instance, who audits and safeguards these party databases?
Thank you very much, Nifemi. This particular topic we are talking about ought to have been discussed, ought to have been brought to the burner long before now. I have serious issue with data management. It's not enough that Nigeria has enacted a law on data protection. When we are talking about data protection, that in itself is just a law. There are other instruments. That is a policy. Where is the technology that goes with the policy? The policy must validate the technology, or the technology must validate that policy. I don't see that technology in place right now for the way we use data in Nigeria. Data, there is a lot of data sensitive exposure, data breaches in Nigeria that we don't take serious. And when people are talking about, registering with their NIN, I wrote something. Unfortunately, I didn't get to publish it because the questions I ask, let me ask these questions. How are you collect? What is the reason? Give me a valid reason why you have to collect my NIN when I have a voter's card. Tell me how you captured, how you store this data that you're collecting from me, the management system in place, the management structure. What is your data management policy as a political party? It's not enough that the government has a policy. What is your own policy? What is your own structure? And what technology are you using to actually store the information that you're collecting from people? Are you putting it on spreadsheet? Are you just putting them on spreadsheet and into a computer loosely? Or you have a system, data management system? What is your data management system security, cybersecurity guardrail? This is something that has not been defined in Nigeria. We do not have a cybersecurity guardrail in Nigeria that actually sets the framework for data use, for data collection and data use in Nigeria. And for as long as these things are not in place, then we're exposing people. Because, hey, I want to join a political party that is a voluntary organization, and I have to submit some sensitive information about myself. You are exposing me. I will ask you questions as to, beyond the fact that I want to be a member of this party or of this group, of what use is this information you are collecting, other than the fact that you need my name, you need my home address, and you need to capture my face. Why do you want to capture anything that can implicate me, that can expose me financially or in other forms? I totally disagree with the way party registration has been mandated by INEC. I think if we do not have the technology, if we do not have the cybersecurity guardrails, we should stay away from collecting sensitive information from Nigerians. Nigeria is very loose when it comes to cyber security issues, because it is in Nigeria that official documents get leaked to the public without any consequence. And this is why we need to go the way of enterprise solution. With enterprise solution, access to information will be on need basis, and people will sign up for access to such information, not the way it is that anybody can just punch into the computer and obtain information. People even go stroll, go to banks Anybody can just go into your bank account and check stuff about you. It cannot, it should not happen. That is what I'm saying about we are not managing data securely the way we should. Having the policy is one thing. Having the instruments to validate the policy is another thing. We need another layer of security, which is the cybersecurity guardrail that Nigeria needs to put in place. And that is the responsibility of the Minister of Communication or the Ministry of Communication.
You joined us from Ontario for this conversation. How common are mandatory digital membership databases, as a global standard? Is Nigeria aligning with global best practice in experimenting in this terrain?
Well, Nigeria is actually doing very well, trying to comply with best practices. But in trying to comply, move on, join the league, we do not have the foundation, we do not have the infrastructure. It's just like the case of this electronic transmission that people are making noise about. We do not have the infrastructure for electronic transmission. Nowhere in the world do they have, it's electronic transmission of results in real time that people are talking about only occurs where you have electronic voting. And how many countries is doing electronic voting? I said it on a different program recently that even during the US election, the last election in 2024, Senator Elizabeth Warren, one of the presidential aspirants of the Democratic Party, was advocating for a return to manual voting for a paper trail. Here in Canada, it is manual voting and it is manual counting, nothing electronic. And it is after it has been counted that the result will be sent in. A lot of people talk without having deep understanding of electoral processes. When you conduct an election manually like we do in Nigeria, collation is done manually as well. The electronic transition people are talking about, they are confusing it for collation. Form EC8 is the main instrument, is the valid election collation document that that INEC relies on and even the court rely on. And that is why I said, if we want to be talking about electronic transmission, then the best approach, if at all, the best approach should be the BVAS machine should be enabled to be able to scan the Form EC8 that political parties agents have signed on to concerning the result. That way, we have the original, parties will have their copies, INEC will have the original, and we have the exact copy that is uploaded online. IREV is just a dashboard. IREV is just a viewing dashboard of result. It's not a collation center, it's not a collation point, because this result will still be taken to the local government collation center, will still be taken to the state collation center. I don't know why political parties, particularly the opposition, is so fixated on electronic transmission. It simply tells you that they have an agenda like we experienced in 2023. So Nigeria, to a large extent, is trying to move in the right direction without having the right infrastructure in place. Well, it is a long-term project where we need the telecommunications companies to play a major role.
We have completely run out of time. As of today, new concerns are also emerging. The new law mandates direct primaries or consensus, effectively removing indirect delegate-based primaries. And we're hearing the opposition also now starting to question these and raising concerns about whether it's truly more democratic, as the presidency argues, or could it weaken internal party autonomy and increase logistical burdens? But perhaps we're going to touch on that subsequently. We have to go now. I want to say a big thank you to co-founder Africa Data Warehouse, Ontario, Canada, Bayo Adedosu. Thank you so much for talking to us on the program.
Thank you very much, Nifemi. Just as a form of wrapping up, the Electoral Act is actually returning power to the people, members of the political parties. It's also putting an end to vote buying, to delegate buying, because delegates are bought when they go for primaries. So this is actually a good way to go, giving power to party members, giving them a sense of belonging of party membership. Why are they doing party membership if they have no say in who represents them?
Mr. Adedosu,
thank you very much, Nifemi, for having me. Hope
if voters are bought on election day, there's nothing stopping aspirants to also buy voters during direct primaries. But
direct, it's difficult to buy. Well, that's a conversation for another time.
But I'm sure you've heard of vote buying in the main election. So if it happens during the main election, what stops it from having during the direct election?
Even in America, there was vote. Even in America, there was vote buying. Donald Trump bought votes. If you care to know,
yes,
there are different ways of buying votes.
Well, that confirms exactly my position that I don't think that will stop vote buying in any way. But good place to leave it, Mr. Adedo. So thank you so much for your time on the show today. Remember, you can watch it again. You did at midnight and 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. See you again soon.